Yeah, I thought this was kind of an interesting offseason because I didn't really think there was one standout winner. It seemed that anyone who was making good moves also had to lose a couple good guys along the way. It was a lot of shuffling the deck. There also wasn't many absolute stud free agents out there. So it kind of made it harder on everyone to be a massive winner, getting that gem in free agency. So I kind of hemmed and hawed. It came down to 4 teams for me that I all thought were kind of par with each other, but I'm going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm not going to do that because their fans left flaming dog shit on my front porch last year. I'm going to be doing it because of the contracts that they signed their biggest additions to. Bringing in Bunting and Dmitry Orlov to the contracts they did is going to significantly benefit their team immediately with the play that these guys are going to bring, but also in the long run when contracts are coming up in the future, like Teravainen and basically their whole back end outside of Orlov and Slavin. So you've seen other teams get hurt in free agency when they go out and sign guys for the 7-year max contract. Well, they brought in Orlov, who to me was the big fish on the back end. They only brought him in for 2 years, which I like a lot, at a reasonable cap hit. And now that decor that seems to be one of the best every single year got even better despite losing Ghost Despair, and I think Calvin DeHaan was another casualty on the back end.
Yep.
But when it came to their losses, there's quite a few guys leaving this team, but I think they not only plugged the holes but made them better with the guys like Orlov, D'Angelo, Lemieux, Caleb Jones, and Bunting. Although I think they might have missed out on someone like a Tarasenko or someone to score some goals is maybe what this team is lacking. But the back end, the goaltending, everything looks like, all signs point to Carolina being the top team in the East this year.
Yeah, I really like that pick, Case, and that was a team I really considered as well. I like the Bunting addition. I don't know if I would have liked the same contract in Toronto, but he will be a fantastic player in Carolina. The Orlov ad, again, like you mentioned, perfect. He was the big fish on the back end. They landed him, and a short-term deal, so they won't be hindered in the future. They brought back all 3 of their goalies. I was kind of shocked that they did that, but now they have maybe the best trio. I mean, I don't even know whose trio would be better. I think they might have the best trio in the NHL, no matter who is 1, 2, and 3. Freddie Anderson, Antti Raanta, and Pyotr Kochetkov.
And just quickly to add to that, it kind of seems like maybe 5 years ago it took a turn from having that stud goalie that's going to carry you for 60 to 70 games to now having a 1A, 1B type situation is really the formula to be had. Well, now I think in the next few years you're going to see it shift to having 3 NHL goalies on your roster at all times to carry you on through, and Carolina is going to be leading the charge on that one.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, all 3 of those guys are really good, and that leaves you some flexibility if 1 or even 2 of those guys get hurt at the same time. So I think you need that in the new NHL, and gone are the days where you have a starter who plays 75 games and gets you through the playoffs. That type of goalie situation doesn't really exist anymore outside of maybe like 4 teams in the NHL now. So I really liked how they solidified their goaltending, brought all 3 guys back. And you mentioned that, maybe they missed out on a guy like Tarasenko to score some goals. Well, I think what they didn't get up front, they got on the back end in terms of offense. They have guys now who can move the puck, as good or even better than their staple defenseman on the back end. They got a Tony DeAngelo who, aside from all of the talk about him, what he's like in the locker room or off the ice or whatever, he's a damn good offensive defenseman. And same with a guy like Dmitry Orlov, who can move the puck and make that quick first pass. So I think they got better offensively from the back end, and that should help them in transition and hopefully will continue to allow them to score goals that way. So I really like the pick, Case.
Yeah, they're in a situation on the back end where they can combine a puck-moving, free-skating defenseman like DeAngelo and Burns and Orlov with a more defensive defenseman like Slavin and Shea and Pesce. So I don't know where Shea lies. He's kind of a two-way guy, but I would say that you could pair him and he'd be a little more safe than a guy like DeAngelo. So they've got an interesting little mix back there. They're gonna be flinging the puck around.
Yeah, and they still have the option too. Like, the rumors are still out there that they might deal Brett Pesce. So maybe if they do want some offense, that's always an intriguing option for other teams to get that shutdown guy in Brett Pesce at a reasonable number. So that's an option for them if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the D-core is obviously the number one strength for this team, I think, and arguably the best D-core in the NHL. You look at the year that Brent Burns had last year, and he was kind of a dark horse pick for the Norris Trophy last year. He was that good for the Carolina Hurricanes, and so we'll see what happens with Brett Pesce. I know that teams like Buffalo checked in on him this offseason. Carolina decided to hold on to him, at least for the time being, and it's a good idea. I mean, we look what we saw with the Vegas Golden Knights, guys, who just won the Stanley Cup. You need a big, long, mobile, and deep defensive core, and that's what the Carolina Hurricanes have. I with some of the additions up front, I wonder about again the goal scoring and all of that, and again the system that they play, very dump and chase, hard on the forecheck, cycling the puck. I think it kind of depletes their offense a little bit, but there's no question that this team is a Stanley Cup contender, and they're going all in again this year. I think the only thing for them is that if they can just get over that Eastern Conference final hurdle that has hurt them the last number of years, then they're all set. But they'll be a favorite going into this season for sure. I like that pick for them, Case, as one of the winners of this offseason.
Yeah, could be the President's Trophy winners. Like, I think they're that good. They're very complete, so...
Yeah, I said that last year, and there we go. I'll take it again this year. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, so Carolina as our first winner, good pick, Case, and Chad. We'll move on to you now with your winner.
Just quickly, sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot to mention one of my key points about them is re-signing the guys that they needed to re-sign in a Jordan Staal, your captain and your leader, and Sebastian Aho, your best player on your team, is now signed up long term and for a reasonable number as well, under $10 million. Sorry, I just thought about that now.
No, don't be sorry. That's a great point, and I think that's a good long-term deal for Aho as well, a reasonable number. And honestly, with that cap hit, I think that they bent a little bit on it as well, which is good to see. So clearly they're keeping this team together, and they are poised to be a contender once again.